Hey guys, it's Real Low Bermuda bringing you another lawn care video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about T-nex PGR. That's a plant growth regulator and how it can totally transform your lawn. I'm going to go over what is it, why do you need it, how do you use it, and when do you use it. Let's dig right in, but before we do that, let's roll that intro. Okay guys, so as I mentioned earlier, we're talking about T-nex Plant Growth Regulator. What is a plant growth regulator? Well, ultimately what it does is it inhibits the cellular elongation of the grass leaf, and it inhibits growth. So it slows growth way down. Well, why would you want to do that? Well, first off, it's going to limit and reduce the amount of time that you have to spend mowing your lawn. Especially helpful when you go out on a vacation and you're not going to be home to mow your lawn. You don't want that lawn getting out of control. Some of the other benefits that it is known to suppress seed head from the Bermuda grass, which those of you that have common Bermuda know just how much of a pain those seed heads can be in the spring. Another benefit is you'll have a thicker lawn from the reduced vertical growing. It will then increase lateral growth. It also forces that growth down into the root zone, so your roots will grow deeper, which then would lead to better drought tolerance and less watering. The benefits continue from there. It will help improve shade tolerance. So if you have some areas that are struggling from not enough sun, it reduces, or it actually helps with disease resistance. So if your grass is prone to disease, this helps fight that as well. It also actually makes the grass a darker green by the amount of chlorophyll that is in the grass blade. Since that grass blade can't grow up, that chlorophyll is still there, which makes that a darker green. So really it's like the miracle chemical to put on your lawn. It's going to do so many beneficial things. All right, now that we've just discussed the what and the why, let's talk about the when. So when your lawn is actively growing quicker than you can mow it, that's when you want to apply it. And you also want to try to apply it in the coolest part of the day, and don't water it in. You also don't want to mow really within 24 hours before or after application. And ultimately, when you're going to be going on vacation would be a great time to apply. But as I mentioned, the benefits before are just numerous, right? So this is something you could actually apply all growing season long, and it's going to make your lawn so much improved. There are, however, some cons. So there's a lot of benefits, but there are some things that are risky, and that is if you have bare spots in your lawn, those are going to take longer to fill in if you apply a growth regulator. Same thing like with dog urine spots. Those take forever to repair, at least in my yard. And so a growth regulator would actually make that longer to repair. Another big con is that you can risk damaging your lawn by over application. So you want to make sure that you follow the label like it's the law, and make sure that you are not over applying. And that's not only in frequency, but also in the amount of ounces per 1,000 feet. So you want to make sure that you follow that label. So here's a look at that label and the application rate table that you'll use. And so the first thing you would do would be to find your grass. And these right now are warm season grasses. I'll put the cool season up here in a little bit. But you can see that the first column is residential and commercial turf, but basically cut at a normal height. The second column is going to be for golf course fairways, which is basically what I would call a real cut lawn at a 1/2 inch. Then you have your greens, which would be cut much shorter, right? And so if you look at Bermuda TIF Fort 19, which is what I have, at 1/2 inch, I'm going to put down 1/4 ounce per 1,000 feet of lawn. So my lawn is 3,000 square feet. So I'm only going to use 3/4 ounce per application. Then the next thing I have to figure out is how long will that 3/4 ounce last me? How long will that inhibit growth? Here's a quick look at the cool season grass application rates, and you can kind of see that application rates are a little bit higher for cool season grass, and down at the perennial ryegrass is all the way at 1 ounce per 1,000 square feet. All right, so looking here at the chart above, it gives you a little bit better understanding about how the growth regulation works. And so the dotted line across the at the 100 mark there, that's just the typical grass growth rate with no growth regulator on there. This chart is actually for Primo Max, but that's just the name brand. T-nex is the same exact active ingredient. But the green line represents the growth suppression. And then if you notice, after day 15, the growth rate actually increases beyond what a non-treated lawn would do. We call that the rebound phase, where the grass actually increases growth, and we want to avoid the rebound phase at all costs, because then you're actually defeating the purpose, right? You're going from a little bit of suppression to then actually having to mow more frequently than you ever did before. And so what they've done, the brighter, smarter minds, they've come up with a thing called growing degree days, and ultimately they figured out that with the T-nex growth regulator, that the optimal growing degree days is around 230, and we'll talk about how do you calculate growing degree days here in a minute. But ultimately, so the plan would be that every 200 growing degree days you want to reapply to avoid having the rebound effect. If you don't, again, you're going to end up you're going to see a drastic surge in growth. So one of the things that affects growing degree days is also going to be your air temperature. And so depending on where you live, it's going to be drastically different. So someone living up in the north could have an average air temperature, and that's simply you take your high temperature of the day and your low temperature of the day, and you add those together, divide by 2, that gives you your average air temperature. So like let's say up north you're dealing with 70 degrees during the day and 30 degrees at night. That gives you an average air temperature of 50. And that would tell you it would take you 20 days to add up to 200. And that's, of course, using Celsius. And we'll talk about how to convert that. It's a lot simpler formula to use Celsius versus Fahrenheit. So you can also see if your average air temperature is 70, it's only going to last you 10 days. And if your average temperature is 90 degrees, you're only going to get 6 days of suppression. And so, for example, in Texas, central Texas during the summer, it'll get 100 degrees easily as a high, and sometimes only 80 degrees as a low. So our average summertime temperature in August could easily be 90 degrees Fahrenheit. which converting that into Celsius would come up to 200, which only lasts 6 days. And so let's look at how do you convert your Fahrenheit temperature to Celsius. This calculation is a simple process. You just take your temperature in Fahrenheit, subtract 32 from that, and divide by 1.8. That will give you your temperature in Celsius, and then that's the temperature that you're going to want to add up to 200 before reapplication. You can also go to Google and download a chart like this that has it already calculated for you. But ultimately, if you look for the 90-degree Fahrenheit, it'll give you a conversion of 32.2 degrees Celsius. And then you basically just divide that by 200, which gives you about 6 days. And so that's ultimately what you're looking for, is that number to add up to 200. I want to thank you guys for watching today. And I'm sure there's a lot of information, and I'm sure you guys have some questions. So leave your questions in the comments below, and I will do my best to get back with an answer for you. And again, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing, and what that will do is we'll get you access to weekly lawn care tips. You can also go back and review my channel with a lot of other previous videos that could help you take your lawn to the next level. Also consider turning on that notification bell, because then each week when I do post that video, you'll be notified and you can get on there and watch that. But again, I do appreciate you guys watching. Leave me comments below, and we'll see you next week. This is Real Low Bermuda, signing out.